Hello, everybody. This is Howard, the Teaserking, trying trying for the 18th time to do this video. I guess I'm having internet problems, but every time I try to upload it, it's happening. So I'm trying I'm trying this live stream on YouTube. Never tried it before. Let's see how if this helps. Football's coming soon, and I already got a lock for the first Sunday. As of now, we'll see about injuries in the preseason. And I'm getting ready for analyzing the college game. A lot of different coaches and quarterbacks moving around makes it a little more difficult, but we'll figure it out. Okay, today's topic is what is inflation, and a few other Austrian economic things and explanations of what's really going on. So if we look at inflation, it's the increase in the money supply. That's it. There's no such thing as price inflation. There's no such thing as any other type of inflation. It's the currency. The more they print, the less it's worth. Just like this card. This card was so printed so much, so overproduced that a PSA 10 is worth like $200. But if you had a numbered card, which I don't have, it would be less produced and worth more. Why is the 86 Flair Michael Jordan worth so much? Because to get a PSA 10 was extremely difficult. It was off center all the time and very difficult to get a 10. So there's very few of them. The less they are, the more they're worth. The more they are, the less they're worth. It's very, very simple. So that's what inflation is. It's printing more money to make it worth less. That's why you all hear like The Godfather made, let's say, $1 million in 1972 at the box office, which at that time was a lot. But then you'll hear, well, in inflated dollars, if we use 2021 dollars, it made $1 billion. That's because they're not worth as much. That's why there's more billionaires now than ever before, because I see them having internet connections. So please bear with me. Hopefully I won't lose it, and hopefully I can figure out why I'm having internet problems. So that's what inflation is. That's it. It's just printing more dollars than anything. Now you have inflation with items, cell phones, right? You initially had one, then Apple came out, and then Android came out, and then Samsung. And so there was a whole lot more cell phones on the market, which created the price to come down. Or with TV sets and laptops, a lot of electronic stuff, you'd have the first guy come out and it'd be very expensive. I remember the first VCR I bought probably cost me $1,000 in 1975, 1976. And then a couple years later, they were down to $200. Now you can get them for $100 if you even can find them. So as more entrants enter the market, the value drops. You can get them cheaper. So that's basically what you have with the dollar. You're flooding the market with dollars. Now the Russians and the Chinese don't even want US dollars. They're going to euros. There's 85 countries that don't want the US dollar. So as you flood the market with all this inflation, you're making the value of the dollar go down. You can see going to get food, going to the grocery store, those prices are going up because it takes more dollars to buy the goods. So Cheerios really isn't doing a price increase. It's the same price, but because the dollar's inflated, it takes more dollars to buy the same amount that you would have bought before. Think of it as a car that the more you drive it, so now you got 50,000 miles on it. It's gone down from what you bought it for. Then as you get like 300,000 miles on it, it's worth a few thousand. Well, that's basically what the money's happening. As they print more of it, they make the value worth less and less and less till eventually it'll be worth nothing. And a new money will come out, And that's what happened in Germany in the 1930s, right? That's how Hitler got into power, hyperinflation. And he sat there and said, oh, well, we'll come out with this new money. And that stabilized the economy, was the new money, but it was still fiat currency. The only good currency is what's backed by gold. Why? Because gold's a real currency. It's a real money. Bitcoin's not real money. It's not gold. Only thing gold is gold. Only a gold coin is a value, and it's a value because A, it's thousands of years old, and B, everybody accepts it. I mean, if you give anybody, you go to the grocery store with a quarter ounce of gold, they're going to take it. They're not going to take a Bitcoin. They're not going to take they're not going to take my Yammer Jaeger card. So if this is graded 10 and it's worth $200, $300, I can go on eBay and get $300 for it, or get maybe more because of inflation, but I can't take it to the grocery store. So the point is, just the currency's inflation. Prices are not inflation. Here's where Say's law comes into effect. Say's law says supply creates demand. I want a cup. So you make a cup for me because I demand it. I want a black shirt. So you make it. It's a polo shirt. So that's a brand. So Polo says, oh, you want some black? We're going to come out in different colors because he's demanding it. Say's law says we're the market. Me, you, your friends, your family, all the people are the market. And therefore, producers come out and manufacturers come out and make what we want. They make cars, they make telephones, they make computers, they make TVs, they make sports cards, because that's what we demand. We have money, we want to buy things, so they make it for us to buy. It's a simple business process. That Say's law. Now the problem with inflation is so first, you make computers as long as you can make, let's say, a 20% return on your investment, your margin, your net income, and your return on investment, ROI. So, okay, I'll spend $10 to get 20% back, to get $12 back, because I can't get that in the bank. And stocks, risky, dividend stocks, I get maybe 4 or 5% back. So that's really what I got to beat. I can get 5% in my gold stock. So I got to really beat 5%. Otherwise, I'll just buy the gold stock and I'll make 5%. So you make a factory and you produce black shirts. And at the end of the day, it costs you, let's say, $20. You sell this for $50. You're making a lot of money. Competitors come in, right? All these other Izod and Brooks Brothers and all these other manufacturers come in. Their cost is still the $20, but now they go, you know what? I'm going to sell it for $45. So it lowers the price, but the costs are the same. You lower the price, and I go, great, I can get a Brooks Brothers shirt, or Polo has to come down to $45 to compete with the competitors. What inflation does is inflation raises cost. So now this cost me $20, now it costs me $25. And maybe I can sell it. So let's say I'm selling it for $50. Well, that's okay. I'm making my return, my percentage. So I'm fine with that. But let's say my costs go to $55. So now it costs me $55 to make this, and I can sell it for $50. So what people think mistakenly, and they don't understand Say's law, they don't understand Austrian economics, free market. That's what laissez-faire capitalism means. I cannot raise my price to $75 because the market's saying, I'll give you $50 for it. And there's a few people that might give you $60 or $70, but the equilibrium, where the best place where you're going to get the most customers at this price point to make X times Y, or price times quantity, equal the most, is at $50. So now my costs go up. So I have two choices. I either raise my selling price. So now I'm going to sell it for 75, or I'm going to lay people off and cut my cost. Keep in mind, I say I'll buy it for 50. I'm not going to buy it for 75 because there's other shirts I can buy and I have enough of them and I don't need another one. So then what the market says is you can only get 50 for it. So now, even though it costs you 55, I'm not going to pay 75 for it. So you can't pass the inflated cost to the consumer, to the market, unless the market agrees. But wait a minute, I'm not making more at my job. I didn't get a $10 an hour increase or a $10,000 increase in salary. My salary stayed the same. If not, it probably will go down. So therefore, if I'm not making more, I don't have more money to give you. I got to pay my taxes and I got to buy gas and food and pay for rent and all that stuff. And my food and gas, I have to have the food and the gas. Now I can substitute steaks for hamburgers, and I can stay away from higher price. I can get away from Coke and buy Faygo, and I don't need Doritos. I can buy generic brand chips or whatever. I won't buy Cheerios. I'll buy the generic brand. So I can substitute those goods if they raise them too much. So I do have that capability because I got to eat. I got to have gas in my car to get around. So that's how the market dictates the price. You can only sell it for the price you can get for it. And the market dictates. So just because there's inflation doesn't mean the manufacturer or the guy selling the shirt can now get $75 because his cost went up. He can't. He can only do it if the market bears it, but the market doesn't have extra money to pay more for it. So what happens is he tries to, but he can't sell it. The market says, no, I'm not paying for it. So you can't pass the price on. You can't pass the cost on in price to a point, depending on what it is, gas for the car, food, you can a little bit. But you can on like shirts and pants and stuff like that. Even phones, it's very hard. TVs, VCRs, computers, it's very hard. You can raise the price a little bit, but you can't. If your costs go up $100, you can't just raise it $100. So what you end up doing is, how do I cut costs? Well, what cost do I got? Material, I can maybe change material, but is that going to offset the inflation? Because probably the new material is probably pretty expensive. The only thing I got left is overhead and labor. So I'm going to cut my labor. So I got 100 people working for me. Now I got 90 people working for me. So I've just saved 10 jobs. I've saved the cost of those 10 jobs to keep this price. Even though my material went up, I cut my labor, which cuts my medical, which that I was giving them, and cuts the salary. So all the benefits. So I get rid of 10 people. So I can still sell the shirt at 50 because it's the only way I can't sell them higher. So that's what ends up happening with inflation. Why people aren't saying this is beyond me. It just shows the lack of understanding of economics at all, especially Austrian economics. Anybody claiming to be Austrian economics should be stating this, that you cannot easily pass the cost of the inflated dollars, so it costs you more, to the consumer, because he doesn't make any more, and he's not going to pay for it. So you have a lot of people that aren't going to spend as much. So that's economics, right? It's the market telling the producer what he can make and what he can charge. It's all up to us. We're the market. We tell them what they can. If we say we're not going to pay, if you're not going to pay, okay, I went to the meat store, and their steaks are $22 for a New York strip or a porterhouse. I laughed. I said, forget it. I'll just eat hamburger when you lower it. So then all of a sudden they mysteriously went down to $12 and $13 this week. And then I bought. So there's a price point. You can't charge me $22 for a New York strip. You can charge me 10, 11, 12 bucks for it. You can't charge me 22. That's that's where the market comes in. So again, if certain foods are get too expensive, you just don't buy them, and they've got to lower their prices to sell them, right? If they're too high, nobody buys them. That's their business, is to sell inventory. They're selling meat or produce, but if nobody will buy them, then they can't sell it. They can't be in business. So the only way to stay in business is to keep their price down that people can afford, and then you got to lay off workers to cut your overhead costs and your manpower, and that's how you do it. So now there's unemployment. More people get laid off, more people can't afford everything, and it's a vicious domino effect. The more they print in Washington or the Federal Reserve, the less the dollar's value, more people get laid off, the less the currency is. Right now, the Chinese and the Russians don't even want the currency. About 80 countries don't want the US dollar to be the currency because they can see, they're not stupid. They can see you're inflating it, you're printing more of it, you're devaluing it. Why do I want a dollar that's worth 50 cents today and it's going to be worth 25 cents tomorrow? Rule one, you cannot flood the market. If you flood the market with something, the price goes down. Everybody's understanding that. Nobody's that stupid, especially governments. Now, so that's what you got to understand. Anything that you flood the market loses value. Look at oil. It was $75 a barrel a couple of weeks ago, went down to 65 because OPEC said, oh, good, the price is up, let's produce more. Well, you only have so much demand, and they wouldn't pay, and the price went down $10 because you decided to flood the market with oil. Well, nobody, it lowered the price because it's too easy to get. That's the same thing happened with the currency. You're flooding the market. People don't want it. It's lost its value. It's like buying a car with 300,000 miles. How much are you going to get? You're not going to get, if it's a Mercedes at 50 grand, you paid new, and now it's got 300,000 miles. You're not getting a Mercedes. You might get 5 grand for. Ford and GM, you're getting maybe 500 for. So don't expect to get a lot because you've used it, you've devalued it. So that's what's happening. But if you notice, now here's the key about gold. Why do you go to gold? Well, what's so special about that? Well, the reason is because gold's real currency. So the dollar's backed is priced in gold, or gold's priced in the US dollar. So as the dollar drops, gold's supposed to be going up. Right now, it's price fixed worse than an NFL game being fixed, right? You pay off the refs. There's all these mysterious holding penalties that aren't there, fake pass interferences, whatever, because the team that they're paid off that should win wins. So what you have is gold should be going through the roof. Should easily be $5,000 an ounce by now if you let it run. COMEX, which is basically the banks, are keeping it down because the Chinese and the Russians are in bed with the banks, want to buy more, so they want to buy it cheap. So if you look, these countries and all their federal reserves of these countries are buying gold. They have tons of it. If you Google how much gold does the Chinese have, how much gold does the Russians have, and I apologize for not giving you this answer right now, but a lot's just coming into my mind as I'm talking. It's just huge. It's tons and tons of gold that they're buying because they know they don't want their own dollar. They're like Russia, the ruble used to be 24 to 1. Now it's 75 to 1. They don't even want their own currency. So Putin's busy printing money to buy gold. He doesn't care what he does to his money, but you can see how desperate it is in Russia, where they can't buy any goods outside of Russia because it's 75 euros or 75 rubles, to a dollar, not even to a euro, to buy things. So if you're going to sell them a computer that costs us $300, it's 300 times 75. It's like 200,000 rubles to buy a $200 computer. Who can afford that? They don't make that kind of money there. So that's what's happening. So they don't want it. That's why the price is low. It's price fixed by COMEX. to allow the Russians and the Chinese to buy. So the central banks are loading up on gold to get out of all the fiat currency that nobody wants. So if you have U.S. dollars, there's nowhere to go with it. You can't buy euros, you can't buy rubles, you can't buy Chinese, Japanese. There's no dollar to go to. It's all being printed and printed and printed. Now here's where the problem is. There's something called MMT, which is some monetary theory, which when I looked into it is Keynesian. Now, what's wrong with Keynesian? It doesn't work. It's been proven wrong. The only thing that works is capitalism or Austrian economics, because the market dictates what's going on. Supply and demand dictate prices. That's the only system that works. Keynesian doesn't work because the government gets involved. It's socialism. Socialism doesn't work because you can't have the government saying, this is the black shirt. How do they know what colors to make? And how do they know what to charge it for? Oh, we're going to make black shirts and charge $62. Well, you got inflation. The government's not going to change the 62. The poor manufacturer, now his costs have went up where he's not going to make any money at 62. So he has to get out of business because he can't raise his price to 75 or cut people to get his costs down where he can still sell it at 62 and make a profit. That's the problem with Keynesianism. That's the problem with this MMT theory, which is Keynesian. That's the problem with socialism. Government gets involved. They don't know how to set the prices per the market. You can see it in healthcare. You can see it in education. Why are they paying $25,000 a semester to go to U of M or Michigan State or even the local colleges? It's $100,000. The kids are $100,000, $200,000 to go to college. Why is it so expensive? Because the government's involved. Because the government has no clue on how the market works, because they don't care about it. I agree. I heard an MMT guy say, well, we need education. Absolutely. Austrians aren't against that. We want it at market prices. I got my master's in 1990, and it was like $1,200 a semester to take 3 classes at the best business and accounting school in the country here in Michigan. $1,200. It was $1,200 a semester. Now it's $25,000. Does that make any sense? So, yes, we agree, but we agree it's all market based. Everything should be market driven. The government has 3 functions: military, law, and money. So the money should be good, not inflated. The laws should be good. If somebody steals from you, they should pay for it, go to jail. And the military to protect the country. That's what the government's supposed to be doing. Not supposed to be in education. They're not supposed to be in medical. They're not supposed to be in travel or, and they should be protecting the borders to protect. Again, that's more of a defensive role to keep the U.S. safe or the country safe. So the MMT guys, so if you're financial advisors, if you ask them, well, what economics do you believe? If they say MMT or Keynesian, fire them and run as fast as you can to an Austrian. The Austrian will put you in gold now, and it's going to go through the roof. Again, it's price fixed, but only for a while. Eventually, the dam will break, and it'll jump through the roof. The MMT guys believe they're buying bonds. Why would you buy bonds? The currency is going to shit. Why would you buy a bond that pays 1.5% for 10 years? Who in their right mind would buy a bond now? Why? What are you going to get out of it? You got it in US dollars, which is worth less and less and less. You're getting 1.5%, but inflation's at least 9 to 10%, right? If you really look at all the prices going up, it's at least 10%. Now, again, that's not inflation. That's the prices going up because of the inflation. Because the dollars are worth less, the prices go up, and they're raising the prices of about 10%. Now, there's no, what are they calling it, temporary inflation. You've either printed the money or you haven't. And if you printed more money and the value of the money dropped, it's not temporary. That's what happened. There's no temporary. You printed the money. You're not getting the money back. The only way to get the money back is to raise interest rates to more than the inflation rate, which is the pricing going up. Again, that's not inflation. That's prices going up. usually supply and demand, and it's by the manufacturers who are trying to keep up with the increase in cost of the money. But again, that's why they think it's transitory, because they think, well, the prices will drop. Well, the prices will drop because the consumer is not going to go for it. I'm not paying $80. So the price of this shirt went up to $80. Okay, but the market's not going to bear it. So it'll eventually maybe come down to 70. That's what they mean by this transitory, well, the prices will settle down. Yes, but that's not inflation. Inflation is printing the money. The fact the prices will drop, it's got nothing to do with inflation. It's got to do with the cost. It's all the market. What will I pay for the shirt is still what I will pay for the shirt. So the losing the value of the dollar is the inflation. Costing more to buy the goods and services and the material is the reaction of the inflation. So now the shirt costs $20 more. So that's what's happening in the marketplace. And then will it stay, or will everybody say, I'm not going to pay for that? Like the steaks. They went up to $22, but now they came back to $12. That's got nothing to do with inflation. That's got to do with the market saying, I'm not paying $22. I'm only going to pay $12. Again, the only thing the inflation is the valuation of the currency. So it just costs more. So this Yamir Jaeger card costs $200 as a PSA 10. So the cost might go up to $300. But again, this is an investment. It's more maybe this phone. This is a Samsung Android. So this cost might go up because the things that are needed to produce it will have gone up. And to make my 20%, I need to charge more. That's not inflation. That's because my costs went up. And if my costs go up, and it's not due to demand, it's due to the price of the dollar going down, that is just the price going up. So they're coming up with inflation as price increases. It's got nothing to do with it. The market dictates the prices. Again, you can charge me $25 for Cheerios. I'm not paying it. I'm not paying $25 for steaks. You can charge it, but if nobody pays it, you've got to lower the price. So the market will do that. It's got nothing to do really theoretically with the inflation. That's not the steak going for $22 is not inflation. It just costs more. And because it costs more, you can charge more. But if the market says, Say's law, the market doesn't want to bear it, then the market's not going to bear it. And that's basically what it is. So the definition of Say's law is supply, us, create the demand. If we say you're only going to get $20 for it, that's all you're going to get. You're not getting 30 because nobody's going to pay for it. So I just wanted to clean that up. Why gold? Because all the Federal Reserves are buying gold, because gold's the real currency. You can't print gold. I was getting my hair cut, and I was talking to somebody who does FX. And I said, well, why is gold not going up? And he says, well, gold's inflated. Gold was 2,500 6 months ago. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, are you on drugs? Gold's never been over 2,100, first of all. I think 2,075 was the high. Maybe 2,100 was the high. I don't recall exact number, but I know it's at 1,800 now. And I said to him, you can't inflate gold. Gold you take out of the ground. And if you find a little bit, another shovel worth, you cannot inflate gold. You can't print gold. You can't make more. You can dig more out of the ground, and that's fine. But it's such a small amount that it's not really, you don't have inflation in gold. You can't put it on a printer and print, here's a gold coin. You can't sit there and print, I'm going to make 1,000 more. You can't. I mean, it is what it is. You can only make what you dig out of the ground is what you can dig out of the ground. There's only so many ounces, and it's got the value. But you're inflating the dollars huge versus gold. So there's no gold inflation. That's the beauty of it. You can't destruct it, and it has a value. But if you notice, central banks are buying gold in the bucketful as much as they can buy because the dollar's losing value and gold's the only thing keeping it. Only real assets will hold. What are real assets? real asset, gold, real asset, house. A car is kind of an asset, but it depreciates pretty bad. So real assets are things that, as the dollar devalues, the real asset goes up. The car, the gold, the silver, the house goes up in value because it takes more dollars to buy it. That's basically what's going on here. Is it takes more dollars to buy because you're ruining the dollar, and you cannot flood the market with dollars. It's not good. That's what everybody's saying. So to buy T-bills, you got to be out of your mind. Bitcoin. Everybody loves Bitcoin for some reason. They think it's not fiat currency. It's limited to 21 million. Therefore, to get out of US dollars, I'll buy Bitcoin. Well, first of all, there is no asset in Bitcoin. It's not gold. I own gold. I have an ounce of gold. Here it is. I have it. My friend said, what if he wanted to buy a bunch? He said, well, what if I need to sell it? What if I need money? I go, sell the gold. Go to a coin dealer, go on eBay and say, here, I want to sell my ounce of gold. You're going to get $2,000 for it, and you're fine. So it's just, you have it. It's not going away, and it always will have a value. At this point, it's worth 1,800, which I don't, it's just so controlled by the New York banks. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, it should not have a value over. It should be about 5,000 an ounce now, and only going up. Once all the currencies inflate, there'll be a gold-backed currency. There has to be, because there'll be no faith in any currency. You basically are blowing up the world, because what am I going to buy? Euros? Swiss francs? You ain't buying British pounds. You already see what happened to Britain with socialism and inflation, and you see Germany in the 30s with inflation. So you see what happens with inflation. So that's why MMT Keynesian doesn't work, because it's socialist, it's government run. You can't just keep printing money because nobody wants it. So that's the problem with it. You can't keep printing the money. Nobody wants it now. And if you keep printing more, the value becomes less and less and less till it finally reaches zero. And then you need the central bank digital currency, which will be from some central bank in Europe or somewhere will do it. But if it's not backed by gold, it's the same fiat crap that we have. So the only way out is gold. Gold's your protection. Silver is supposedly very limited from what I'm hearing. But it's gold standard. It's not the silver standard. You can buy some silver and it will protect you a little bit, but gold's really the protection that you need. Again, it's being price fixed. So you got to understand that when you buy it, it's being price fixed, but soon you can't put more than 10 fingers in the dike as the water comes out, and eventually it'll be flooded and worthless. So that's the point. Bitcoin is not gold. There is no asset. There is nothing there. It's a computer program. It's got no value. It's not an asset. It's not a currency. So if you buy gold, or if you buy Bitcoin or any of these cryptos, I would rather have this. At least I have it, and at least I know once I get it graded in the PSA 10, you can see it's perfectly centered in corners. This will get a 10. This will be worth $200, but I have this, and I know it's worth $200. It's an asset. Or my Brett Favre. No, this card's worth $100, PSA 10, Joe Montana. And this is what it'll be. It'll go up in value as the currency goes down. It has to. It's an asset. It's got value. He's already done it. He's already retired. This is 1990 cards. We're 2021. It's a 30-year-old card. It can only go up in value. There's a lot produced, or it would be worth thousands of dollars. But that's what you have to understand. So you want limited, you buy cards. You buy gold. Gold, you don't care that it's limited or not. An ounce of gold is an ounce of gold. When people say it's going down in value, they're out of their minds. It can't, because with inflation, the dollar's worth less, and it takes more dollars to buy the gold. In 1971, it was $35 an ounce. Now it's $1,800. It's That means it takes $1,800 to buy what $35 bought you in 1971, because they print more and more dollars, hurts the value. But an ounce of gold went from 35 to 1,800, and it's only going to go up as you have inflation. The only cure for inflation is to raise interest rates above inflation rate. Inflation rate's 10%, meaning prices have gone up 10%. So you got to have interest rates at 11 or higher. You can't raise it because of the debt. You can't run your household where you make $1,000 and you spend $2,000. How long is that going to last? Eventually, you got to pay your mortgage, your credit cards, your car payment, your food, but you don't have enough money for it. So eventually, you go broke and you go bankrupt. Well, that's what's happening to the country. You owe like $37 trillion. You don't bring in 37 trillion. You can't print 40 trillion saying, well, we're going to print. That's what the MMT Keynesians say. Well, we'll just keep printing more money and that'll pay the debt. No, because then it makes the dollar worth less, which makes your debt, skyrocket. So the only way out of it is to increase interest rates, which you can't do because of the debt. So you're not going to increase interest rates. You can't listen to the Federal Reserve because the government's always lying to us. Who killed JFK was the CIA, not Lee Harvey. He was good in stripes, but that's about it. So you can't listen to them. So you've got to understand inflation. The only out is gold, and that's what you should be buying, understanding it's price fixed. So you understand, well, give me about 6 months to a year, this thing will be 5,000 and going up. Because then when you come out with new currency, it'll be backed by gold, which will be the only currency you possibly can have. And then that'll make gold prices shoot through the roof because there's only so much gold. So to make dollars, you got to have a high price of gold to make the amount. I think that covered it all. So avoid MMT Keynesian. It doesn't work. It's been proven it doesn't work. Government cannot run the economy. Only the market can. Say's law. Me and you are the market. Me and you run the market. We go and buy what we want at the price we want. Price too high, we don't buy it. You go out of business. You lay off people. The more people laid off, then the more businesses go out. This is why the stock market's going to fail, because as companies' costs go up and their price doesn't, they don't make earnings, right? Well, it's costing me $50, but I can only sell my $40 good at $50. Wait a minute, I'm not making any money. My financial statements show my revenue at $1 million and my cost at $1 million and my net income's zero. What happens to the stock price? Boom. So your Facebook, your Amazons, all of them. Well, Facebook, all they sell is advertising. So I never understood their value. But even the advertisers have to go down because they're not going to spend if they don't get a return. And how many Coca-Cola commercials can you have out there? And then it's one of the items that you can buy because it's cheap. But anything that's expensive, polo shirts, how long they're going to last when their costs go up to $50 and they can't market $80, right? How many times do you go to a factory outlet polo store and buy it for $40? I bought this for $30 at an outlet store. I'm not paying $80 at a mall. You got to be kidding. So that's what happens. That's what's going to happen. So please be careful. Get your money out of U.S. dollars. Leave a little bit in for a few months if you're working. If you're not working, leave 5 or 6 months in. Buy as much gold as you can. And again, if you need money, you take the gold go on eBay, probably is the best, and they will sell it for $2,000, and you can trust eBay. If you don't get the money, you don't give them the coin. The money comes in, it's fine. You send the coin, everything's fine. You've gotten $2,000. So do it that way. In the meantime, gold will be going up. Again, it's price fixed like an NFL game. It's all bullshit, but it's really worth a lot. It's really worth at least $5,000 an ounce. It's the only thing that the market isn't controlling, like steaks. It's because of the market, and it's really just a distribution problem where they're coercing to only have a few people selling. But that's what's happening. There's no transitory inflation, and it's only the money. That's the only thing. There is no price inflation. It doesn't work that way. Prices are me and you saying, I'll buy it for 40. It's supply and demand. Our demand for this card is, I'll give you, it's a PSA 10. I'll give you $200. That's the market. That's the supply and demand. And if the price, if this goes to 220, that's not inflation. It's me saying, hey, I'll pay more for it. I like David Robinson, or whatever. Not necessarily in cards, because it's an asset. And let's say Oreo cookies. It's $2. They raise it to $10. You're going to buy a bag of Oreo cookies for $10? I don't think so. Plus, you don't have the money because you're not getting raises at work to do it with. Anyway, college coming up. Pro football is coming up. I'll have my prices set probably within the month. Again, good luck in football. We'll need it to buy the money that we're getting screwed out of in the inflation. Again, the government's role is to have safe money, not to inflate the hell out of it and make it worthless. That's terrible work by the government. And that's why they don't want gold prices to go up, because if it's 5,000, everybody knows, the government screwed up. But at the end of the day, it's got to be done at market. And people are already bidding gold up. It's over $2,000 at any coins store. So that's the real price right now is $2 grand, but really I think it'd be 5. And again, it's limited. It can't be inflated. It's the perfect money. It's the only real money in the world. So everybody will go to it. Again, that's why the central banks buy gold. They don't buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin is, I don't know what it is. It's really not. It's not a commodity. It's not an asset. You got to be out of your mind to buy it. I saw it at 29,000, and I said, "Well, 29,000. How are they arriving at 29,000? There's no financial statement to look at. At least Microsoft, I can see the financials, and they're all going to go down, but I can see that. All right, everybody, have a great day, and football is coming, so enjoy. All right, have a great day. Thank you again, www.teaserking.com. I hope you enjoyed this. Questions, comments, go to Teaserking and get my email and send it to me, and I'll be happy to respond. People that are MMT Keynesians, I'll be happy to talk to you. I have no hard wishes or ill will to anybody, but it's wrong. It's like saying the sky is yellow. It's not. It's blue. I mean, you can say it's yellow, but it isn't.